So this is an interesting thing I found from that All CEU's YouTube. It's about 13 minutes long, but I just thought it was interesting. But it's Yoda's 12 Rules for Living, Mindfulness in Daily Life.
Hey there everybody, and welcome to this video on Yoda's 12 Rules for Living. I'm your host, Dr. Donnelly Snipes. Practices for a rich and meaningful life can be found in a variety of different doctrines, including that of the Jedi. Some of the quotes that I'm using come from the movies, some from the books. There are many others that are also worth pondering. Not everyone embraces a particular doctrine, so sometimes looking to popular culture can provide a non-threatening way to begin to approach topics and find common ground. I encourage you as you go through these quotes to explore your life doctrine and identify ways it's similar to other doctrines, including that of the Jedi. Rules for life, and these are not in any particular order. Number 1. Anger, fear, and aggression. The dark side of the force are they. Easily they flow, quick to join you in a fight. If once you start down the dark path, forever it will dominate your destiny. Consume you it will. Here Yoda's really talking about the challenges of anger. Anger is a feeling. Feelings are okay. Feelings are good. They're motivating you to get up and look and see if there's a problem. And if so, make a decision about how to address it to improve the next moment. Anger, fear, and aggression are not meant to be held on to, not meant to be nurtured. When you hold on to those, it takes a lot of energy. And sometimes I refer to anger and fear as the dog poop of the soul, because it's kind of like that. When you hold on to anger, it's kind of like carrying around a smelly bag of dog poop with you. And eventually it starts to repel people, and it probably is going to make you feel somewhat unpleasant. So anger and fear are emotions. Emotions are good. Anger and fear are designed to motivate you to do something positive to help you move toward your rich and meaningful life. Number 2. Named must your fear be, before banish it you can. Now this is Mindful Awareness 101. We cannot improve the next moment. We cannot address whatever's triggering our fear, our anger, our sense of threat until we identify what it is. We've got to be mindful and be willing to step back and take a look and say, what's making me feel this way? Once you've done that, then you can figure out, all right, now what do I do about it? Number 3, you will know the good from the bad when you are calm and at peace. I've talked about this in a lot of other videos that I've done. When we are in fight or flight, we are being doused in adrenaline, if you will. And it's difficult to engage our executive reasoning system. When you're in fight or flight, you are in defense mode. In order to know the good from the bad, in order to be able to name your fear, in order to be able to identify your options for handling the situation to improve the next moment, it's essential that you first get out of that adrenaline haze, get into your wise mind, your calm mind, so you can better assess what's going on. Truly how wonderful the mind of a child is. I love this quote. Children are curious. They ask a lot of why questions. They don't assume they know the answers. They don't pass judgments. They just take things at face value. They are wide-eyed. They haven't experienced all the things that we have, so they are just drinking in everything. And we lose that for some reason as we get older. We stop being as mindful, being as aware, and using that beginner's mind, that mind that says, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe I could learn something here. 5. A Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense, never for attack. It's important to be prudent in what we do. When we are aware of what's going on, we can choose to take steps to protect ourselves, to keep ourselves safe. But a lot of times attack means invading someone else's space, invading someone else's boundaries. So what we want to do is keep our own safe space and allow other people to have their safe space. Number 6, a decision is yours alone to make. Yet remember, you should that you make it also for the silent ones who stand at your shoulder. When we make decisions, it impacts all of those around us. When we make decisions about what we're going to do today, when we make decisions about how we're going to handle a situation, when we make a decision about whether we're going to scream at somebody or we're going to take a breath and handle it more assertively, all of those things often have at least tangential impacts on the people around us. So it's important that we recognize that we are empowered to make decisions. However, every decision we make will affect other people, at least slightly. So we want to consider, in the big scheme of things, is this decision going to help me achieve my rich and meaningful life, and is it going to help those that are important to me? Number 7, if no mistake have you made, yet losing you are, a different game you should play. Sometimes we get so caught up trying to do the same thing, and sometimes they refer to it as banging your head into a wall. You are continually repeating the same thing and continually failing, and you continue to repeat the same thing again, thinking that maybe this time it'll work. And Yoda's point here is that if it didn't work the first time, probably not going to work the 21st time. So maybe you need to step back and examine exactly what's going on. Maybe, for example, let's take that wall. Instead of trying to go through the wall, which is obviously not working, maybe stepping back and thinking, all right, instead of trying to figure out how to get through the wall, maybe I should try to figure out how to get over it or around it. So sometimes it's about perspective. And in recovery, one of the things they say is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So sort of the same thing here. Number 8, when you look at the dark side, careful you must be, for the dark side looks back. And that's true. We look at everything, but our enemies, if you will, the threats, and they do exist. We don't live in a complete utopia. They're sizing us up. They're trying to figure out, how can I manipulate the situation? So it's important when you look at the dark side, whether it is evil, whether it is anger, whether it is anxiety, when you're looking at that, it's important to remember that it can come back at you. And this is one place where jealousy and envy can be very toxic. They can be very inspiring sometimes. We see people that have things that we want, like the power of the Force, but we don't have them. And when we are consumed with envy and jealousy, a lot of times we don't make good decisions and we can be easily led astray. Number 9, a Jedi always sought to avoid a conflict. Infinitely more ways there are to reach a goal. Try them are you should. Keep an open mind. Not every door is meant to be walked through. Not every solution is going to work for every person. It's important to be aware of the fact that there are many ways to reach the same goal. And sometimes, if you're both going in the same direction and one person wants to do one thing and the other person wants to do something else, sometimes it's worth compromise. Because ultimately you're going to get to the same place, even if you don't do it your way. Sometimes your way is not as important as actually getting to the goal. 10, never step in the same river twice you can. Each time the river hurries on, Each time he that steps has changed. So true. Every day changes us just a little bit. Every experience we have changes us just a little bit. So the person that you were a moment ago is not the exact same person as you are right now. Your mind has changed. Your thoughts have changed a little bit. Your body has changed. Some cells have died, some cells have renewed. You are not the same person you were a few minutes ago. So it's important to remember when you engage in situations, no two situations are ever exactly the same. So it's important to be mindful of what is going on in this moment. What are the facts in this context at this point in time? 11. Pass on what you have learned. Strength, mastery, but weakness, folly, failure also. Yes, failure most of all. The greatest teacher failure is. I love this quote because so many of us get hung up on failure. We hate to fail, and we certainly don't want to tell people about when we failed. But some of the greatest lessons can come from hearing how people have failed, made mistakes, and overcome them, learned from them. We can learn a lot more by seeing someone's process than necessarily by just seeing the end point. This is what I know. All right, well, how do you know it? Well, let me tell you how I got there. So it is important to help people understand, what was the process that you went through? What was the experience that you went through that helped you arrive at this piece of knowledge, at this place? And number 12, you must unlearn what you have learned. So true. Every time we experience something, we learn from it. We create a memory. But it's important to remember that everything changes. So what was accurate, what was helpful, what was on point 6 months ago may not be accurate, helpful, and on point now. Likewise, we sometimes tend to learn bad habits, and we can unlearn those. But we do need to update our schema, if you will, update our expectations based on the current facts and the current context in the situation, and not assume that we know exactly what's going to happen or exactly how someone's going to react. As I said, Yoda had a lot of wisdom that he imparted throughout the books and the movies, and there are a bunch more rules for life, but this gives you 12 to kind of think about. Think about what they mean to you. You may have a different interpretation than I do, but think about how, if you embrace some of these rules, it can help you reduce wasted energy. It can help you free up energy to devote to those things that are important in your rich and meaningful life.
Okay, that was definitely interesting, and being able to pull from different sources like this for rules for living and mindfulness is amazing. I'm probably gonna put this in my spiritual section on my YouTube, but that's it. So thanks for listening.